Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Other CEDH, where the C stands for casual. We're by no means competitive, nope. On this channel, we're all about fun and casual kitchen table magic, the gathering. Thank you so much for joining us. Yes, you're reading your phone/computer/tablet screens correctly. The Other CEDH is back making videos again. I know that we were on hiatus for a little bit. I won't go too much into that right now. Let's just say that about 6 months, a catastrophic hardware failure, a little bit of holiday booze, and a whole lot of credit card debt later, we finally had the means to bring you content once again. Now, I know that we missed out on all the C19 goodies and Throne of Eldraine stuff, which quite honestly gave Commander players some fun new toys to play with. Don't worry, we're still going to have some fun with all of those new goodies that Wizards bestowed upon us eager masses. But for today, we're going to dive right into some of the Theros Beyond Death spoilers and bring you a brand new Commander Spotlight. You guys really seem to dig these, so we're going to dive headfirst into another one. And who are we looking at for today's episode? Well, the name itself sends shudders into the spine of anyone who's ever played against Animar at his finest. And as a commander that back in the day would vomit out tokens left and right, and before you knew it, the whole table was burning in a maelstrom of agony and hailfire. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Theros is giving us an all-new purveyor of pain and punishment in a posh presentation. Today we're going to be looking at the brand new Purphoros Bronze-Blooded. I know right off the bat there are going to be people out there that are saying, well, the new Purphoros isn't nearly as good as the old one. First of all, I think you are correct, but second of all, just listen for a second because I think that there is a genuinely fun and interesting build here. New Purphoros is 4 and a red for a legendary enchantment creature god because of course he is. This is Theros. He is a 7/6 with indestructible. All the OG enchantment gods are indestructible. He has the usual writer clause that as long as your devotion to red is less than 5, he's not a creature, blah blah blah. He also says that other creatures you control have haste. We can obviously also get the same effect from the namesake Hammer of Purphoros, but I really like what's going on here. He does also have an activated ability for 2 and a red. You may put a red creature card or an artifact creature card from your hand onto the battlefield, sacrifice it at the beginning of the next end step. So for 2 and a red, I could drop an Udvar Hellkite onto the table. Oh, what's that? He also has haste, which is awesome. Now, I have to admit that my initial idea with this build was to pack this deck full of big Eldrazi. But I also have to admit that I have had a bit of alcohol and should probably read the cards a little more closely. However, cheating in a big mean fatty for 3 mana and being able to swing with it right away is pretty awesome. The sacrifice clause does kind of suck in this instance since you're not really in a color known for graveyard recursion, but I think there is still some fun to be had here. So one of the things I just wanted to mention real quick before we dive into the meat of these builds, a card that I thought was a cool inclusion, didn't really fit anywhere else into this deck tech, but the first card I want to take a look at would be Heartstone, reducing all the activated abilities of our creatures by 1 colorless mana. This is something that would be perfect in this build. The mana reduction is cool and all, but we want to get into the main bulk of this, which is what kind of big fatties are we going to be cheating in and how are we going to abuse this? I personally think that one fun way to build this would be to look at some of our red clone effects, because what's better than cheating in a huge dragon for 3 mana, making a clone of that same awesome red dragon for only another 3 mana? Yes, please! An obvious inclusion here would have to be Mimic Vat, guys. If you want to build in this sort of direction, Mimic Vat is going to be a powerhouse in this deck. Purphoros makes you sacrifice the creature at your end step. When it dies, you imprint it onto Mimic Vat, and now all of a sudden, you can churn out a Tyrant's Familiar every single turn. Guys, put Mimic Vat in this deck. You can also achieve this same sort of thing with cards like Heat Shimmer and Twin Flame, both sorceries that will put a token into play that's a copy of target creature. But those tokens have that exile clause once you hit the next end step. Flame Shadow Conjuring is another great inclusion here, an enchantment that gives you a clone for a single red mana. Again, it goes away at end of turn, but if you stack enough of these effects, you're guaranteed to hit your opponents right where it hurts. If you do want to go the instant sorcery cloning route, it would also be really fun to run things like your fork effects, namely fork, reverberate, reiterate, all that sort of fun stuff. This is contingent on you having a lot of mana, but you're probably not going to do this sort of thing until the late game when you have that mana to fire off 2 or 3 of these spells in a turn and then just win from there. I also want to point out that if we go all the way back to War of the Spark, we will find another mono-red commander that has this same type of play pattern in Ilharg, the Razeboar. Ilharg is actually better than new Purphoros because it requires no mana to cheat in your big fatties and he returns them to your hand rather than making you sacrifice them. However, you do have to have a free attack on someone, and the creature does come in attacking as well, so you have to be a little bit careful about how you plan your attacks. It has also been pointed out that with the Ilharg trigger, you actually don't get the attack triggers from the things that you are cheating in, such as Annihilator on your Eldrazi, because the creatures come in attacking. I think this is actually where new Purphoros might set himself apart a little bit. I also think that there is a lot of overlap when looking at potential builds for either one of these guys. You could possibly also build this with a sort of ETB attack trigger sub-theme. Things like Fanatic Amogus are perfect here, dealing damage equal to your devotion to red upon entering the battlefield. And something like Sandstone Oracle will be perfect here as well, refilling your hand at a 4-mana discount. And being a mono-red, card draw is definitely something you are going to need a lot of help with. Cheating in an Atali for only 3 mana is also pretty awesome, so feel free to throw him in this build. You could even do something sneaky like put in a Godo Bandit Warlord / Helm of the Host combo in your deck as a fun if you are into that sort of thing. Drakuseth Maw of Flames is especially brutal here. This dude can get out of hand in a hurry, and you could always build in a sort of Kiki-Jiki Zealous Conscript finisher here, again if you are into that sort of thing. Another cool way to build this deck would be to maybe run an Artifact Matters / Equipment sub-theme as well. There are a lot of good artifact synergies in mono red, and seeing as how you're going to be relying on mana rocks for your ramp, because that's really the only way that you can ramp in mono red, this may be a smart way to go. The Daretti Planeswalker that you can run as a commander can do gross things all on his own. Loyal Apprentice can get out of hand if you can clone him, so feel free to throw him in not only your artifact builds, but also the builds that run that clone / token sub-theme. Ichor Wellspring is a good bit of value for 2 mana no matter how you slice it, and Hoarding Dragon would be awesome in an Artifacts Matter deck, because you can tutor for any artifact you want, then cheat him in, and since you have to sacrifice him at the end step, you get the artifact into your hand. So you essentially got a 4/4 flyer with haste that tutors an artifact into your hand. Hell guys, even if you're not running an Artifacts Matters theme and you have something like Hoarding Dragon, put a Soul Ring in this deck. Because, boom, it's just ramp and damage and flyers and big mean things. You get the idea. Brass's Bounty is amazing all on its own and reaches a holy shit level of preposterous awesomeness when you can fork it. So feel free to put that in your Spellslinger builds of this guy, and it would even have a good bit of utility in the decks with an Artifact Matters sub-theme as well. Want another way to build this big beautiful beast? How about throwing in your damage doublers? Attacking with cheap fatties is cool, but having them deal double damage is even cooler. Dictate of the Twin Gods and Furnace of Wrath would be really cool here, as would Angrass Marauders and Curse of Bloodletting. And if I understand the rulings correctly, these effects do stack, so if you have a Dictate of the Twin Gods and a Furnace of Wrath out, now all of a sudden you're dealing quadruple damage to each player, I think. Again, I'm just going off what I found on the internet. It seems to be pretty legit. If I'm wrong on this, someone please let me know down in the comments below. So what does this all boil down to? Well, I think when the dust settles and all is said and done, I know that the new Purphoros isn't as good as the OG Purphoros, but again, I think that there are some really interesting builds here that could be worth your attention. Is it good? Is it powerful? I don't know. I haven't built it. Probably won't build it for a while. But these are just some general guidelines as to how you could build this commander. I'm not saying he's going to be super overpowered or even that he'll be all that good. I'm just giving you guys some ideas as to how you can kind of abuse this ability, and in the end, that is what Commander is all about. I also want to give a big thanks to all our subscribers, new and old, and speaking of which, we hit recently 100 subscribers. You guys, I never thought there would be 100 people out there that would want to listen to this long-winded bullshit. So from the bottom of my heart, you guys, thank you so much for helping me reach this milestone. You guys really have no idea what this means to me. I would really like to do some sort of giveaway / contest for reaching 100 subscribers. I don't really know what that will be yet. I'm thinking of giving away a copy of my Marwyn deck, since that deck holds a special place in my heart. It was the very first deck tech that we ever featured on this show. I don't know if you guys would get behind something like that. If you would, let me know. If not, if you guys want me to do something else, just hit me up in the comments, go to our Facebook, go to our Twitter page, just let us know. I will totally make it happen. Once again, you can find us on Facebook, you can find us on Twitter, reach out to us, let us know what you think, and can I just say that it does feel good to be back. Also want to give a big shout out to our buddy Dan Jones, who always looks over these to make sure that I don't open mouth insert foot again. And also to our friend Jacob Darby, who has been loaning us some of his audio knowledge and expertise. If there's anyone listening out there who needs some audio work done, or just needs a bit of advanced knowledge from someone who has dedicated his whole life to sound, Jacob is a really stand-up dude. Go check out his work at Darbyskull Studio. I'll put a link in the description. We streamed a game of Commander the other night on Twitch that no one watched, but it's all good. Also, special thanks to Jacob's daughter Sapphire for being such a good sport amongst all us assholes. Sapphire, you do a really good job, kiddo. Just keep at it. So, this has been the latest episode of our Commander Spotlight. Once again, my name is Eric. This is the other CEDH, and we will see you guys next time.